Application Nation. I'm going to finish out this fire pit here. If you didn't see the first video, there is a part 1 on how I built the fire pit. So take a look at that. But today we're going to finish this out, and it's just about done. Really all I want to do is finish out these corners, smooth them over, and get rid of the weld bead. And I want this corner to be as seamless as possible. And then after that, I'm going to put a patina on it. So I've researched a process for applying a patina, a rusted metal look to fresh metal, and I'm going to try it out. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but I am going to do a test piece, a sample piece first, and if it works like I think it should, then I'll apply that technique to the entire pit here. So if you look at this corner here, it's pretty rough looking, and this is what I want to finish out. I'm going to round these edges and make this corner smooth. Initially, when I built this, I was thinking I was also going to smooth out all the seams on the top of this, and you can see this seam here, a seam here, and a seam here. You can see a seam here, and when I thought about the design initially, I was going to finish these out and make them flush. That's an extensive amount of work, and to be honest, I think it looks good with the seams in there. It almost looks like it was paneled together, and you don't really see any fasteners or any bolts or anything holding it together, so it gives it a unique look. So I think I'm going to go ahead and leave all those seams as they are and just finish out the corners. Just to better explain what I'm doing here, you can see this is where I grounded down the corner. This will be my first initial pass, and then on this side, this is the non-grounded, and you can just see how dirty and unrefined that looks. And with the initial pass, if you look here, you can see all the low spots, and so what I have to do is I have to go back in here and build up metal in all of these low spots, and then come back and grind it again, and I continue to do that until I don't have any more low spots, and then I have a uniform curve from one side to the other. Okay, here's what it looks like after I get ready for the second pass. You can see that it's filling in, building up the metal. It's still pretty ugly, but my second pass after I grind this down should be smoother than the first. All right, here's my second pass. You can see it's starting to clean up and look a little bit better. Still got quite a bit of waves in it, but no deep holes or gashes. So if you want to know why metal art and metal sculpturing is so expensive, it's because of this right here. The fabrication, the design, and the actual building of metal art is fairly easy compared to the actual finishing of the metal. And so this is hours and hours of work when you're talking about a big piece, and could be, you know, as much as 50-60% of the actual work that goes into a metal sculpture. So this is the tedious stuff. It's not a lot of fun. I won't make you sit here and watch all of it, but I'm gonna finish this out and do the other 3 sides, and then we'll move on from there. Here is the finished corner, about as smooth as I think I'm gonna get it. And I'm not really looking for perfection here. I'm just looking for something that's more appealing to the eye than just a big slab of weld bead on there. Whenever I apply the rust patina look to it, since this side is grounded off, it's going to really stand out. You've got this mill scale right here, and it doesn't rust quite as easily. It's actually a protective barrier, and you get this mill scale from hot rolled steel. It actually it forms this layer of skin on it once the steel is forged and then hot rolled out. And then this is, whenever you take the mill scale off, it gets this shiny look, and this is the actual bare metal here. This bare metal is going to rust much quicker and be kind of highlighted once the patina takes place. I'm hoping that I don't have to take the mill scale off of the whole thing to actually get that rust patina look. I don't think I will, but I'll just have to see how it works. Now I'm gonna prepare to do the patina on the fire pit. So I've got some things here. I've researched it a little bit, and this is what I found on the internet that says that you need to do the patina on metal. So I'll walk you through what I have here. Okay, so first off, we've got some of our safety equipment. I don't have a respirator. I've got just this entire face shield that I usually use for painting, so I'll use that. I've got some safety gloves. I've got some salt, a bottle of hydrogen peroxide, a bottle of muriatic acid. I have my degreaser cleaner here. This is another cleaner. This is really just paint thinner. It's a stronger cleaner that I have. Got napkins and then a heat gun. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a test piece before I actually spray down the fire pit. I'm going to do a trial and error on a piece of metal because I really don't know if this is going to work the way that I visualize it. So we're going to test it out and see if it's going to work and get the effect that I'm looking for. All right, here is our sacrificial piece of metal, and you can see it's got some debris left on it. You got a mill scale on here, and that's the thing I'm most curious about is this going to be effective on this mill scale versus this clean metal. I really don't want to go through and take all the mill scale off of the entire pit, and that's really what I want to test out, if this is going to work through the mill scale. So the first thing we have to do is get this cleaned up. Got some degreaser here. Spray some degreaser on it. And wipe it down. Go ahead and do the other side. Okay, so you can see the amount of dirt, grease, things that came off of that with the degreaser. The thing about this is you want it to be as clean as possible because any grease or dirt on it will not allow the hydrogen peroxide to penetrate it and to properly rust it or give you an even rust coat. So next I want to use this paint thinner, and this is just another layer of cleaner. So I'll spray that on there. Okay, got that done, and you can see again, more dirt, more grease came off. Okay, now it's time for the muriatic acid. And what the muriatic acid does is it's the final process of cleaning it, and it is also a process of etching the paint or etching the metal. And this is going to be very important with this mill scale because the mill scale acts as a protective barrier to the metal and it prevents it from rusting as quickly. The muriatic acid will actually penetrate this mill scale. It'll bite into it, creating microscopic pits in the mill scale, which will allow the rust solution to get in there to penetrate it and create the rusting action. Some chemicals are so acidic that it actually works as a cleaning agent. There are some things that have that balance of acidity within it, and that's what actually creates the rusting. The muriatic acid is very acidic. You want to be very careful with it. You want to take all precautions, and if you get a hold of this stuff, once you open the cap, you'll see the smoke coming out of it, and if you actually get a whiff of it, it will burn your nose. So you want to be very careful with it. The hydrogen peroxide, which we all know that we use on bodily injuries to clean those up, it has a level of acidity in it as well, but it has that balance of acidity to where it actually creates the rusting effect without the cleaning effect. So what we're going to do now is I've got a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in here. You can see it there. And I don't know if you can see when I shake it, you can see just a little bit of smoke coming out of it. So you don't want to smell that stuff. When I actually put this on the pit, I'm going to spray it on, but for right now I'm just going to pour it on here. Just like that. And then wipe it. Okay, I got it wiped down, and again, I took a little bit more grease and debris off of that. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put some tape on this. So when I give the fire pit a patina, I've got a stencil for it. And what I want to test out is I want to lay the stencil on it and prevent it from having any rust effect. Once I do that, I'll apply, once the stencil is on, I'll apply the hydrogen peroxide, and I want to rust everything outside of the stencil. And what I'm looking for is when I peel the stencil off, it will leave a shade of non-rusted material and then the outline of the rusted material, creating a design on the metal. So that's my theory. I'm going to test it out and see if it works. Okay, I'll lay this tape right across the center, just like that. And I'm going to wrap it around. I'm going to use this body filler spreader to make sure that the tape is properly laid down and adheres to the metal. Just like that. Okay, now what I've researched is that you're supposed to use salt, a tablespoon of salt, and mix it in with your hydrogen peroxide. I'm not going to mix it in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit on one side and see if there is a difference. Just like that. I have this heat gun here, and what I researched is that heating the surface will actually accelerate the chemical reaction. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat gun on and let it warm up off to the side. Okay, I'm just going to pour some hydrogen peroxide on it and then wipe it in. Now I'll apply heat to it. All right, I'm going to do another coat. So you can see here that we have some moderate rust going on the salted side. It seems to have done a little bit better than the non-salted side. There is some rusting action going on, but it's not very visible. It's not quite the look that I'm looking for. And so this is what I was afraid of. I was afraid that it wouldn't penetrate the mill scale quite like I wanted to, or quite as powerful. And now I'm gonna have to take the mill scale off of it to get the look that I was gonna go for, especially to get the detail in the letters, in the lettering. And so if I put this stencil on here, I'm assuming that when I take this tape off that there's not gonna be much difference between where the tape was placed and where it wasn't. So you can see there, not much difference. There is some, but if I was going to lay a stencil down and go over this, you wouldn't be able to make out the stencil or the lettering from it. So I'm going to do another test piece. I'm going to remove the mill scale off of this. I'm going to try it again and see what kind of reaction that I get. And hopefully I get the look that I'm going for. So to take the mill scale off, I'm going to use one of my favorite tools in the shop, and that's the strong hand clamp. I love the strong hand products, and this clamp has a lot of applications. I've talked about it before. So this is another example of a good time to use it. So I'm going to clamp this down as so, and begin taking the mill scale off of this. All right, we have all the mill scale grounded off of this test plate here. So now I need to prep it for the patina. All right, I'm going to clean the surface. I've got the surface good and clean. I'm ready for the muriatic acid. I know you can't see it on film, but this muriatic acid, whenever it dries, it leaves a small film over the metal. And I suspect that's why the tape is not adhering properly to the metal. And so I'm going to go ahead and clean this again with the paint thinner and see if I can remove that film. The purpose of the muriatic acid is to penetrate the metal. And so I think it's done that, and then it leaves that film. So I don't think by removing that film it's gonna to change the effect of the patina. It may actually enhance the effect of the patina because the metal is etched. I need to get that film off of it so that the hydrogen peroxide could penetrate the metal properly. I'm going to give it a quick dry. Now you can see how super clean this metal is now. Very, very clean metal. And now I'm going to apply the tape. The tape is going to act as our stencil. When you apply stencil, you want to make sure that it gets down properly and that it adheres to the metal and that it's very secure, because water can actually seep underneath the tape or the stencil and cause the stencil to bleed. And so with this stencil, I want a hard straight line. I want to see rust and a hard straight line with no rust. And if you do not get those corners and those edges down properly, you will have the chemical reaction bleed into the area that you don't want the rust to penetrate. All right, I went ahead and mixed up some hydrogen peroxide in my spray bottle. I'm going to spray it on here and see how it works. All right, you can automatically see it's starting to turn. I'm going to apply heat to accelerate the chemical process. I noticed that this hydrogen peroxide does not dry very quickly. Much like the lacquer thinner, if you put the lacquer thinner on there, the minute you apply heat to it, it instantly dries. In this hydrogen peroxide, it takes a minute, which in this case is actually good, because the longer it sits there, the more of the chemical reaction is happening and the deeper rust effect you'll have. Okay, I think it is sufficiently dry. I'm going to remove the tape and see if the rust did not penetrate underneath the tape. And it looks like it worked. I think that is a successful test there. I'm very happy with this outcome. That's the proper level of rust that I was looking for. And you have the clean surface area right here in the middle where the stencil would be. This is much better than with the mill scale on the metal. The mill scale will also rust. It'll have its own rusting effect, but it won't be as drastic and it won't be as quick as this. So I'm really happy with this. process, I'm going to go ahead and apply this to the fire pit. This is a technique that's used by metal artists, people who are into sculpturing, and also rat rods. And so the rat rod look has a good look for a rat rod is an old rusted patina look. And this is an application that you could use on a rat rod, and then you would clear it over with the matte finish so that you could stop the rusting process and you could retain the integrity of the vehicle. But it is a good look, and that's basically the look I'm going for with the fire pit. So this test ran a little bit longer than I expected. So I will be making a part 3, and part 3 is going to be the application of the patina to the fire pit. So I'm very pleased with the test. I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot from doing it, and now I think I'm ready to tackle the big project and applying the patina to the fire pit. Thanks for watching, Fabrication Nation.